So Vijay Prabhu shared some question in the group, and I think Ujjwal Prabhu sorted it out, right?
Yes, and then he found a nice quote for it as well to substantiate it from the Vritti.
Okay. So so the next word is Sudyo, and we had the sutra yesterday. A sthane irama, o sthane urama vamana syat. So O Rama of Dyo becomes U, Sudyu, then it's like the same, almost the same thing like Krishna Rai. Sudyu, Sudyuni, Sudyuni, then Sudyu, Sudyuni, Sudyuni, then 3-1 is um, Purushottam, Samanarthataya, Purushottam Tarham Ishantam,
Purushottama Vadva Tadi Sarveshware.
Adi Sarveshware. So by that sutra, so we have Sudvaya, O of, because of that sutra. Um, and then Sudyuna, like Vishnuna. Okay, not like Vishnuna, it's Nuk. Brahmeshanta Nuk Sarveshwari, Natvami, and Kidagama Purva Sambandhi, and then Sudyuna. Am I audible, right?
Yes, Guru, we can hear you. Or I can hear you.
Yeah, I can hear.
Then Sudyo Yukta Su, this is, I think this is 8-1. Yes. So again, A sthane irama, O sthane urama vamana syat. Then one time it is Govinda is done by 172. Brahmata, no. Brahmano Govindo.
That seems later than 172, though. That's
Yes.
just
Yes. Please check 172.
Okay, pull it up.
Okay, first of all, 236 is
Evo Vamanebhyo Buddhasya Darshanam.
Brahmano Govindo Vabuddha, it is okay.
Maybe it's
So
on the,
this sutra is applied.
Yeah, I think 172 might just be.
So a further sutra being applied after 236.
Yeah. Evamanebhyo Buddhasya Darshanam.
So this is, so the main sutra is Brahmano Govindo Vabuddha for applying the sutra partially or optionally. So
Brahmator just another thing is there, right? I just forgot.
Brahmano Govindo Vabuddha.
Yes, but we also have this one, Brahmatah Swamor Mahaharaha. So even there also Su gets deleted, right?
But we have a specific sutra here, like
Vishesha Sutra.
like Su and it's dealing with two pratyas, but here it specifically deals with the Buddha Su.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that this is Vishesha Sutra and that is Samanya Sutra in comparison, you know.
So here,
Like,
there the Brahmatah Swamor Mahaharaka, you are saying it is not Vishesha because it is having two.
okay, like see, first of all, let's consider the sutra, the Dashavatara Shasor Arama Haraha, okay? And compare it with the sutra Brahmata, what was the sutra you were talking about? Brahmata Swamor Mahara. Now in both the cases, we are dealing with 2-1 okay? Now, the first sutra, the Shavtara Shasor Ramahara, is a specific sutra in comparison with Brahmata Swamor Mahara. when we compare those two sutras, then Brahmata Samor Mahara stands as a specific Vishesha Sutra. Now, when we are considering Brahmata Samor Mahaharaha and the Sutra Brahmano Govindo Va Buddhe, now here the first one stands as a Samanya Sutra, a general one, and the second one, Brahmano Govindo Va Buddhe, stands as a specific. Okay, so it's not like a particular sutra is Vishesha all times. No, it depends on which sutra are we comparing it with.
Mm.
So I got that point. What my question is, the other sutra which we referred, Evo Vamanebhyo Buddhasya Adarshanam, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Buddha disappears if there is A and O. That's what here it's applied.
But it also says Vamana, A-O Vamanebhyo.
Right. Evo Vamanebhyo Buddhasya Darshanam. Right. So the Su gets deleted because of that sutra. That's what it's here mentioned, right? But why
Yes.
don't we apply Brahmata Somor Mahaharaha? And out of these,
Just a minute.
how do we say which one is?
Well, it sounds like the
See,
same thing, isn't it? Because it's still a sutra that's applying to just Buddha Su versus Su and in Brahmata Samor Mahaharaha.
Right. So that is one specificity. The other one I'm looking at it is a Brahmalinga it is talking about, whereas the other one does not talk about Brahmalinga. It's,
yeah, that is one point even, right? So it's more specific. It's in Brahmalinga and it's specifically mentioning Brahmatah Samod Mahara.
But that
Right.
particular specificity doesn't come into play here because there's equal application because we're talking about a Brahmalinga word that is in Buddha.
Mm-hmm.
So
So
that
which
doesn't really matter, but the other one makes a difference
other one? Why you are saying like that?
because it's what is it?
Uh,
The one is talking about and Su in a Brahma, and the other one is just talking about a Buddha. So that specificity of the particular pratyaya we're using does make a difference in this case because we're talking about Buddha Su.
Buddha Su versus Brahma Su. That's what I'm saying. How are you saying one is specific than the other? Here it looks like
Because Brahma Su can be either Su as in 1-1 or Buddha Su as in 8-1. So this is specifically saying when it's Buddha Su, and so we have Buddha Su.
right. But Prabhu, just for the argument's sake, right? But I can previous one is equally applicable in all the lingas, whereas this one is applicable in only in Brahma Linga, right? So this is more
Equally applicable in all the lingas doesn't mean it's not very specific in its particular application. And we don't have anything that says, like, we don't have anything that is voiding out that application in Buddha here. Like, what is that? I'm trying to think with Ambadinam Gopyastra Vamano Buddhe. So we have a particular thing there that says that it has to become Vamano when it's Buddha. You know, and then we have Eo Vamanebhyo Buddha. So you apply that one. You understand what I'm trying to say? Because we have something very specific to the pratyaya. And Paramchandra, please correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, you're right. Even Ambadinam Gopiyascha Vamana Buddhe says we have to have either Ambadis or the Gopi word, you know?
Yeah.
So same way we are dealing with Brahma Shabdas here, and means I think there is no scope of any further contemplation. Means this is my personal observation. But if you still have, then you may please go ahead, Vijay Prabhu.
sure.
Is this okay?
Yeah, I'm not fully convinced, but I think we can move forward. We can otherwise.
No, means if you have, then we can just ponder upon it more.
Sure.
Well, I'm just wondering what would be your logic to apply it the other way, because we have this Eo Vamanebhyo Buddhasya Darshanam, that whenever there's Eo or Vamana, then Buddha disappears. And that's more specific than this Brahmata Sumorn Mahaharaha. Whenever there is Su or then then Su and disappear whenever they follow a Brahma. So that's applying to two particular things, and actually three, because Su can be two different things. It can be 1-1 or 8-1. Whereas Eo Vamanebhyo Buddhasya Darshanam is applying to one specific instance. So it seems like it's more Vishesha. than the other one, even though it doesn't specify a linga.
Right. My question is not on that specific sutra itself. Now the general pattern I'm observing from these two sutras, right? One is that there is the linga specificity, there is the akshar specificity, right, and the vibhakti specificity. So out of this, which one is overriding which one? That way I'm looking at it.
Okay, which two sutras are you comparing, like in your mind?
Brahmataha Somor Mahaharaha, there it is says it's a Brahmalinga. That's the linga specificity, right? But if you take the other one, Evo
Brahmano
Vamanibhyo
Govinda Vabhude.
Evo Vamanibhyo Buddhasya Darshanam, right? So there
But
it's
there is no comparison like between Brahmata Samor Mahaharaha and Eo Vamanebhyo Buddhasya Darshanam.
Su Dio plus Su, and the Su disappears because of 172 here it mentions. Whereas
Mm-hmm.
we also have the sutra Brahmatala Somor Mahaharaha. Su can be a Mahahara. You can apply that sutra also here, right? Because it is a Brahmalinga.
Which is 172. Uh,
Evo Vamanebhyo Buddhasya Darshanam.
which sutra is Brahmata Samor Mahaharaha? Let's read the vritti.
Should be one of this moment. It is 231.
Okay. So after a Brahma, the Vishnu Bhaktis Su and undergo Mahara. Practically, this sutra means after any Brahma, except one ending in a Rama. This is the answer for Lokaram Prabhu, I think he asked, if you remember. And so the Vishnu Bhakti Su and undergo Mahara. Since the deleted is not Sthanivat because it undergoes Mahara, the insertion of Nuk ordained in the next sutra cannot be applied. Regarding the phrase Katham Gokulam in the Vritti, only the second case singular is doubtful because in the first case singular, the Mahahara doesn't take place due to the ordainment of Sutra 222. The meaning of the phrase Tatra Akaranat is as follows. If after a neuter word ending in arama, was supposed to undergo mahara, then this rule should have been made previously to comply with the promise asiddha rupam natyajam. Thus, because it wasn't made previously, it doesn't apply there. Therefore, this sutra only applies to neuter words other than those that end in advaya. So it doesn't deal with the query which Prabhuji is raising between Eo Vamanebhyo Darshanam and Brahmatah Samor Mahara. Okay, now Eo Vamanebhyo, let me try to write. A O any Vamana, and then we have Buddha. Then the Buddha gets deleted. Okay, this is the first. Then Brahmata Samor Mahahara. Now Brahma Shabda and either Su or Now, what is more specific in this sutra is the Karya Sthan, which means the Karyi, takes the sixth vibhakti, sixth case, okay, as we read, in those sutra, shlokas. So, Buddhasya adarshanam. Buddhasya is 6-1, okay?
right.
And it specifically deals with Buddhasya, which is very clear, which means Su.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But in this case, it can either be Buddha, just, and it can be 1-1 even.
Right. Right.
We are talking of the Su.
Yeah.
2181.
Yeah, it can either be Buddha, which is 8-1, or it can either be 1 1, the karta, pratama. So now I think this is clear why this is more specific and why this is not, this is less specific in comparison with this sutra.
Correct. But Prabhu, that part is clear. You know that the first one is pratyaya is specificity in terms of vibhakti, right? In terms of vibhakti, the first one is specific. But in terms of the linga, the first part of the sutras for both the sutras,
Well,
it
there
says
is no linga in the first sutra though. Eovamanebhyo buddhasya darshanam doesn't specify linga at all.
Yeah.
correct. So that is from linga point of view. That's not specific. That's very
But it also
general.
doesn't affect what we're trying to do here.
What is that?
It doesn't affect what we're trying to do here. So we don't have any
No,
reason.
that's not my point, Prabhuji. My point is, from linga point of view, first one is general, second one is specific. Vishesha.
I understand that
Yes,
that's
yes.
the point. That's what you're saying. And therefore, why don't we apply this one to this linga because it's more specific? And so the answer is as far as I understand, is that specificity doesn't matter in this case because we're already talking about a Brahma word. So that isn't giving us anything because we're talking about a Brahma word. So then we have to move to the other specificities in the thing. So that the linga specificity doesn't overrule the vibhakti specificity, which actually there is a difference here.
But
So
you are taking the context as granted. Now I'm saying I'm looking at a dictionary and then I'm picking up the word, right? Now, how will I know which one is very specific? Because it is applying to Brahmalinga, I have to apply this, or it is because it is with Buddha, I have to.
One thing I would like to add is like till now we have noticed throughout the Shabda Prakaranam that whenever there is a rule dealing with the Buddha 8.1, then Jiva Goswami specifically uses the term Buddha rather than just leaving upon us to understand that it is Buddha and he writes Su. No, he specifically writes Buddha, Buddha, Buddha so many times whenever it is the case. So, first of all, the linga thing which you are mentioning, when it is said A O Vamana, so there is no gender being discussed. So, let's say this is general,
Right.
and this is general. There is no doubt.
yeah, samanya.
And general means it includes, it is applied for any linga. So, there is no such difference. Now, here, Brahma, from linga point of view, this is more specific, you're right. But the thing is that the karya, the place where the karya will be applied is more specific in this case because that is the place where we have to change or do something. Either we have to do agama or we have to do lopa or we have to do, what is the third one? Adesha. So if we see this part, then if it was like, let me write like this, a Brahma, just let me just write, Prabhu. If it was like a Brahma, a O Vamana. So if the sutra was a Brahma, a O Vamanebhyo Buddhasya Darshanam, then in that case, for sure, this sutra would have been applied, this one, no doubt, because it was a Brahma. But here we see it's like general thing. It says Eo Vamanebhyo. And the main thing where we have to apply the Karya here is more specific, in comparison with the two.
So you are taking the Kari specificity to be higher priority than the Linga specificity. That's what you are saying.
Yeah, means it's very specific because here Su and they are dealing with 1 1 2 1. Till now, if we see, consider, Su and Su and so they are mainly dealing with 1 1 or 2 1. And whenever there is a rule for Buddha, so it's like a specific mention of Buddha and in a particular rule.
Yeah.
So
It
that's
al-
my understanding.
It also seems that, and I agree with everything you're saying, Param Sundar Prabhu, but it's not that the Kari specificity is always more than the Linga specificity. It depends
Yeah.
on how they relate to each other. But in this case, because we don't have any, we're not gaining anything through understanding that this is particularly for a Brahma and one is more general. We don't gain anything as far as how we would apply these two, but we do have
We don't gain anything. I don't understand that point because you are taking Brahma for granted.
No, because we're taking Brahma for granted because we're using a Brahma Linga word.
But I can also say we are using Buddha Prakriti there that I can take it for granted, right?
But you can take that for granted. And when you take that for granted, then you have particular rules. So you're taking Buddha for granted, but with two other things that Brahmata Swamor Mahaharaha is applied with, which is 1181 and 21. So you have a specific sutra, an Eo Vamanebhyo Buddhasya Darshanam, that only applies to 8.1, and you don't have anything that would stop you from doing that, which is why Prabhu said that if it said Abrahma Eo Vamanebhyo Buddhasya Darshanam, that would stop you from doing that, and it would require a sutra that would allow you to remove that 8.1 su. But because you don't have anything stopping you from carrying out the earlier sutra, then you apply the earlier sutra because it's applicable. Is that correct, Sundar Prabhu? That's the way I understand.
Yeah, yes.
Okay. So I would like to think more about this, Prabhuji. I think.
Yeah, you're fully free to think.
I think it's really good. And I also want to go back and take all of these little rules that Jiva Goswami has given in the Vrittis, because I'm sure this is all there, the ways sutras relate to each other, and just have them as a reference as well. As they're going to build. Because it was really nice you brought that thing up in what we were talking about in the chat, Vijay Prabhu. You found that little quote, and it's so easy when you just have, they're basically more sutras.
Right.
It's basically like Vartikas that they give in Panini, Panini grammar.
So we move ahead, Prabhus.
Sorry.
Okay. Okay, so we did Sudyo, and yes. So the next one is Kartri. So Kartri Yukta Su. So Re Rama Sakhibhya Mushna Sarulangsha Saneha Satyadesha. Why don't we apply that sutra here? Re Rama Sakhibhya Mushna.
It says just there that because it's stronger since it's ordained separately. So
I'm sorry?
Just in the sentence, because the Brahmakarya Sutra 232 is stronger since it's ordained separately, the change to Indra by Sutra 203 doesn't take place. What that sounds like to me is that Ri Rama Sakhi Brahm. So this is Ri Ramanta and Sakhi, and this is specifically talking about a Brahmalinga word.
Okay, yeah. So Brahmata Samar Mahara.
Prabhu, just to bring the point, in this case, Brahma seems to be not taking granted, right? Because here Brahmalinga is more specific.
Yeah, so that's what I was saying. It's not that the Kari is always more important. It depends on the sutras that you're comparing.
So yes, Brahmata Samar Mahara. And actually, there is one short rule even in Samvritti that amongst all other rules, Mahahara Vidhir Balvan. If you came across any of that.
That point still supports my view, Prabhuji, in the previous application. Because, Brahmataka Somor Mahahara. Mahahara is, the second one has Mahahara. The first one does not have Mahahara, right? Or probably we have to look at the Vritti for the first one. They may say sometimes it's Hara, but it's actually Mahahara.
We'll check that, no issue. So yeah, so Brahmata Samor Mahahara. Actually, to be frank, I don't want to speculate, but what my understanding is, little understanding, because it is said Brahmata Swa Amor Mahara. So we have along with Su and So it's more likely to accept Su and as only 1 1 and 2 1 and not 8 1. That's my understanding, and we'll have to further because even in that sutra Brahmata Soma Mahara, even in the Vritti and all, they didn't mention that it also applies to the Buddha. So means it's just a point, means we can cross check or re-examine that point. If it was only Su, then we could have okay, 1181, but it also says some more, and this is 6.2, some more Krishna some more.
Yeah.
So that's one point which like I'm pondering upon. um, so yes.
Okay.
So Kartri, um, so Kartri Yukta Au, then Radha Brahma Biham Au E, then Brahmashanta Nuksarishna Twami, then Kedagma Pura Sambandhi, and then Rasha Riddhibhya Nasana Ityadi Kartrini. And then Kartri Yukta Jas, Brahmata, Brahma Krishna, no, Brahmata Jas
Just
Shashavashi, and Brahmashanta Nuksarveshware, and Nanta Dhatu Varjita Santa Satsanga Mahadapam Udavasya Trikrama Krishna Sthane Buddhamina Kartrini. Similarly, 2 1 2 2 2 2 2 3 they are same. Kartri, Kartrini, Kartrini. Then Kartri Yukta Ta. So Samanarthataya Purushottam Ishantam. Then
Brahma Purushottama
Brahma Purushottam Vadva Tadi Sarveshware. So two times, one is when it is like Purushottam, Kartra, and one time Brahmashanta Sarveshwari Natwami. Almost they all follow the same pattern, means in Brahmalinga.
Yeah.
Just minute differences here and there. Although the forms look little strange, Kartrini, Kartrini, and so on, but they all somehow follow the same patterns. Kartrina, similarly, Kartribhyam, Kartribhi, Kar, Kartrine, Kartre, Kartrinaha, Kartuhu. Okay, how is Kartuhu made?
Like
Sri Ramato seeing a sword, Asya Uch.
Yeah. Kartribhya, Kartrina, Kartuhu, Kartrinoha, Kartruhu, Kartrina, Kartrini. How is Kartari made?
Sri Ramasya Govinda Pandaveshu Naucha.
Yes. Kartrinoho, Kartro, Kartrishu. Then 8 1 is two options by 236. The same sutra, Samanarthataya Ityadi. When Govinda is done, so Riramasa Govinda Pandavishu Maucha. That sutra, right?
I think this is, what is that? Radha Vishnu Janavyam Ipaschatri Vikramatsod Haraha.
No. First of all, we did Govinda by
Yeah.
Riramasa.
Govinda. Yeah, you're right.
Riramasa Govinda Pandavishu Maucha.
Yeah.
Then
And
and
then
Radha Vishnu Janabhyam Vipaschatri Vikna Soraraha Sara Ramyor Ityadi Kartaha. And when Govinda isn't done, then Kartri.
Eva Vamanebhyo Buddhasya Darshanam.
Yes. Then Kartrini, Kartrini. Similarly, because the Brahmakarya is stronger, since it is ordained separately, the change to 3 by Sutra 239 doesn't take place. What was that sutra? Kroshtu Shabdasya?
Veshu Tril Pratyantasyaiva Rupam Buddham Vina Tadi Sarveshu Retu Vikalpaha.
Please repeat.
Kroshtu Shabdasya Pandaveshu Tril Pratyantasya Rupam Buddham Vina Tadi Sarveshu Retu Vikalpaha.
I think you're missing something.
Eva.
क्रोष्टु शब्दस्य त्रिल प्रत्ययान्तस्य उरामः, something like that.
I don't.
क्रोष्ट शब्दस्य पाण्डव sorry क्रोष्ट शब्दस्य पाण्डवेषु त्रिल प्रत्ययान्तस्यैव रूपं बुद्धं विना
Rupam Buddham Vina.
So what was the application like? What were we doing like? Croshtri, croshttu.
क्रोष्ट
Whenever a Pandava follows, then it can optionally be a Tripratyanta,
Yeah.
Tripratyaya, but not in Buddha. And also whenever Dadi Sarveshware follows.
So in this case, like when we have Priya Kroshtu, the change to three, you know that Tril Pratyanta Seva, when any Pandava follows, is prohibited. So the forms are Priya Kroshtu, Priya Kroshtuni, Priya Kroshtuni, Priya Kroshtu, Priya Kroshtuni, Priya Kroshtuni, and and so on. Priya Kroshtuna, Priya Kroshtubhyam, like the masculine one. No. 1 minute. I think we'll have two forms here as well. Samanarthataya Purushottam Tarham ityadi. So one time it will be Priya Kroshtu Na, and one time if we apply Nuk, Brahmeshanta Nuk Sarveshwara Twami, it will be again same, right? Kroshtu Na.
I think it'll be the same.
Same. So yes, Priya Kroshtuna, Kroshtubhyam, Kroshtubhi, Kroshtune, Kroshtubhyam, Kroshtubhya, Kroshtuna, Kroshtubhyam, Kroshtubhya, Kroshtuna, Kroshtuna, Kroshtunam, Kroshtuni. Yes, no.
Kroshtuni.
Yeah, Kroshtuno, Kroshtushu. Priya Kroshtu. 8-1 will be Priya Kroshtu. Then Priya Kroshtuni, Priya Kroshtuni. Yes. Then we have the word three, Priya Tri Yukta Su. So Brahmata Samor Mahaharaha. Then 216.
Oh, what is this?
Tri Chaturos Tisri Chatasri Vishnu Bhaktav.
Lakshmi Stayos Tri Chaturos
Lakshmi Stayos Tri Chaturos Tisri Chatasri Vishnu Bhaktav.
Three we have to remember.
So
Okay, yeah, okay. This is not Swartha, right?
no, it is not Swartha because this is not Swartha. Priyatri. It says here. Now we begin the declension of the neuter word Priyatri, a word whose vigraha is Priyas Tisro Yasmin Gokule. If this Yasmin Gokule wasn't there, then this would not be a neuter word, first of all. Because they added Yasmin Gokule, so now the main subject is Gokul.
Yeah.
So you know the way the vigrahas could be. And see, there is no mention of Gokula in this at all.
Yeah.
And that's why it's Bahuvrihi Samas, which is what is Jiva Goswami? Pitambar Samas, okay. Anya Pada Pradhan. So that's how samasas are actually. And Bahuvrihi samasas are, I think, the most difficult because it gives you a scope to assume and maybe to even speculate the Anya Pada it is talking of. Because in any other samasas, like Shamram Samasa, Indvandva Samasa, which is Ram Krishna Samasa, and so on, Trigu Samasa, which is Dvigu. So we know like the Purva Pada and the Parapada. So, but when it is about Anya Pada, then it can give a lot of scope for speculations and assumptions. So now, who could have guessed just by saying Priya Tisri that it's referring to that place in which three are dear?
Not me.
So that means, of course, it depends on the context even. Uh, so like that. So yeah, Priya 3 becomes Priya Tisri by that sutra. Hmm. Then Priya 3 Yukt O, the same processes. Radha Brahma Bhyamaui, Brahmashanta Nuksareshwara Natwami. And the same processes, same things. And again, Samanarthataya Ityadi. Priya Trisra, Ridvamraha, and one time Nuksareshwara Natwami. And like that. When ngasi or ngas follow, the Purushottam vat form is Priya Tisraha, Ridvamraha. Because the rule ordaining the change to Ra is Nitya. So Ridvamraha is applied. Yes, the same things. So please do Priya 3 uh, because almost all the words which we covered today, they follow the same pattern. Basically, beginning from you're quite fast, Prabhu. Okay, so because all of them follow the same pattern from the third ta onwards, they samanarthataya purushottam taram ityadi is applied, and the same things. So please do Priya 3 and please do Kar 3. Kar 3 would be good actually.
What is that?
Kar 3 and Priya 3. 5,
Kartra.
4.
Okay.
Kar 3.
Kartru.
Yeah. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. It doesn't come. Didn't come.
It came. I edited the message. So,
Oh,
Oh,
I was like, okay, now it will come. Okay, so till here we'll stop today. And
that is the
today's 12th, 13th. I'm
14th.
sorry, Prabhu.
That's the end of the Sarveshwaranta. It's
Really?
yeah, I think so.
Oh,
oh, Jai.
oh,
We've
okay.
crossed one
We'll
of
just cover this one as
okay.
well. So Priya Chatasri is same thing. Priya Chaturyukta Su. And what is 216? Okay, the same sutra. Lakshmi Stayos, Tri Chatros, Tisri Chatasri, Vishnu Bhaktav. And so Priya Chatasri, it follows the same pattern like Priya 3. So would be good if you can do this one also because we'll be having some vacation tomorrow at least. So Hari Bol,
Thank you.
we
Prabhu.
end up Sarveshwaranta section. And one thing is still pending that Sahajaneka Sarveshwarasya Dhatu Ritu. So we'll try to cover that part. So just tomorrow is Sunday, of course,
Yeah.
and for 15th, I'll tell you for Monday. I'll be traveling for 2 days actually. So, but I'll try to have class. No problem. Okay, pros. So please. So please practice and please try to read more text, Sanskrit text. Try to figure out the sandhis. Please do not forget the sandhis.
Hmm.
And try to figure out the cases. If you don't have anything to read in Sanskrit, then please let me know. I can share something in the group. I have a lot of stuff.
I came across a really nice reader that Vijaypur, if you want, I can share with you. It's the Rama Pakyana from the Mahabharata. So it's 700 verses and it's a complete Sanskrit breakdown. And they also give a really nice resource where they've taken all the verses and they've written them in simpler Sanskrit sentences so that
Oh,
you know, then read that and then try to understand the verse in that context. and they give a full grammatical breakdown of each word if you can't get it through that, and that's really nice.
Oh yeah, that will be helpful, Prabhuji. Please share.
Yeah, I'll send it to you.
You can post it in the group
Yeah, I
if
will.
possible.
It's quite, might be a big file, but
Uh-huh.
I'll put it there.
So you can also write about it in the group so that the other devotees can take, can understand what the file is actually.
I'll do that.
Mhm. Okay, Prabhu. Thank you very much. We'll continue.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you so much, Bru, as always.
Hare, Hare Krishna. Prabhu.